Money Monday is sponsored by Husky Financial.
For the love of money. No, wait, sorry. I read that wrong. We're talking love and money on this week's Money Monday, and we'd like to welcome back our beloved Howard Dvorkin, chairman of Debt.com, with some tips for couples to better manage their hearts and their wallets. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you. Look, I wore a red tie today in the spirit of the holiday.
I love it. I love it. So tell me, what are some of the biggest mistakes that couples make when it comes to their finances?
Well, with lots of problems with couples, and myself included, communication, frankly, is a very tough thing. They don't communicate properly, and I'm working on marriage too, working on it. And I'll never stop working on it. Yeah. But the aspirations, talking about what people want out of life. Do you want to live in the city? Do you want to live on a farm? Do you want a house? Do you want a rent? Do you want children? Mm-hmm. All these things are important, but couples, including myself, fail to talk about it.
I know. Sometimes you kind of get lost in the rapture of love, and you don't think about some of those more concrete, really quite definitive parts of our lives that are so important to our futures.
You are absolutely correct. I mean, listen, when you're in love, there's nothing better than being consumed and thinking about that person. But once the fantasy or the novelty.
Once the honeymoon is over.
Once the honeymoon is over, exactly. What's the next step? And you really need to take some time and talk about that.
When should couples start talking about money?
You probably should start getting to know the person, but also you got to be serious. You can't be judgmental because people grew up with different values and different wants and different needs and frankly grew up in different lives. You may have one person that is highly successful and financially savvy that is attracted to somebody that is not so successful and maybe didn't grow up with all the luxuries in life. And that takes time. So you can't be judgmental. You have to understand that people are coming from different worlds. True. And you have to take that into consideration.
That is true. But it sounds like the sooner the better that you do talk about these things, that it is really quite important that you do address them, even if you're still in the dating stages. If you think that you might have a future with this person, don't be shy. It's important.
Well, it's quite scary in my career. Sometimes people don't talk about it until after they're married. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, where'd this $100,000 of credit card debt come from? Which is a scary thing. But also you can't do it all in one sitting. You can't figure out your life in one moment or one conversation. It has to be a gradual approach and continually talk about it and learn more about your partner.
Life is a journey. Life is a journey. So you are going to be learning as you go. But what do you mean by practice makes perfect?
Well, let's face it. Again, take it in pieces, in bite-sized pieces. You cannot possibly absorb the rest of your life in one shot. So practice makes perfect. Continually talk about it, continually refine it. And by the way, life changes. Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to save for retirement? Do you want to retire early? Do you want children? If you don't want children, okay, what's the next step? What does that look like? Are we going to retire early and move out of the country or out of the state? Whatever the case may be. Yeah. But practice makes perfect, meaning the more you talk about it, the better it gets.
Right.
Don't be afraid.
And if the conversation gets heated, you can't get everything all in at once, like you say. So just step away and revisit it. Howard Dvorkin, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, as always. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. We're back in 2 minutes.
Money Monday is sponsored by Husky Financial.